Hi, I'm Jeff Sanford. We're here at the Canadian Business Leadership Forum 2008, and we're here with Gord Nixon, President and CEO of RBC Canada, the winner of CEO of the Year for our All-Star Executive Team. Gord, thanks for being here.
Delighted. Thank you for having me.
This has been an amazing year for financial markets, and you've piloted Canada's largest financial organization through what's been one of the most intense years, I would think, of your career, and certainly, generationally, it's been intense. How do you do that?
With a lot of help. It is an unusual year to. It's an honor, obviously, to receive recognition like this, but it is an unusual year given the circumstances that our industry and our business has been through. Although, as you look at the markets today, you could almost say that with respect to most industries, given the current turmoil. But it has been a very challenging period to manage through. And in all sincerity, how we manage through it is with a lot of help. I mean, it is during periods like this where, you are so reliant upon the expertise and the colleagues with whom you work, and so many of them sort of step to the forefront in terms of managing the challenges, the issues, the daily crises which seem to have pop up, on a very regular basis, and have just shone through in terms of making the right decisions and making the right calls at the right time, and so I would attribute it a lot to a tremendous group of colleagues that I work with across the organization.
Sure.
And in addition to that, I think many people have been dealing with the turmoil in the markets, and others have simply put their head down and gone on doing what they do best, which is servicing customers. And so we've been managing through a lot of this turmoil in the global markets. We've also been focused on making sure that we look after our customers and our core businesses of banking and wealth management and insurance and other areas. And those businesses have fortunately continued to do pretty well.
Sure. The Canadian banks have fared pretty well through this.
Right.
They've got a great reputation for being globally sound. What do you attribute that to?
Well, I think that there's no question that I think Canada has come through this better than most countries, virtually any developed countries, and much better than they have historically during times of crisis. And I think there's a couple of reasons for that. I think Canadians should, I think, be very pleased and proud of the structure of our financial services industry, the way it is regulated, the way it is organized and managed, and I think that strength has really shone through. One of the reasons that I think we perform much better is because the way we originate and distribute mortgages has been a real source of strength, in that mortgages represent a very large and secure asset class on the balance sheets of Canadian financial institutions, whereas the mortgage market in other countries, particularly the United States, but also the United Kingdom and other countries throughout Europe, have been a real source of weakness to their financial system. And I think that difference in and of itself has probably been the biggest differentiator. In addition to that, I think by nature, the marketplace in Canada has been a little bit more conservative. Sure. There's been a little bit less leverage. We've carried higher capital ratios than many other financial services companies around the world, and so there, a combination of factors I think have enabled us to manage through this in a better position than others, but of course not totally avoiding all the pitfalls as well. I mean, the Canadian banks, including ourselves, have taken significant write-downs as we've managed through this difficult environment, but on a relative basis, we've certainly done extremely well.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, Canadians, this will be my last quick question. Canadians have seen their portfolios hit a little bit, and I think some people are worried. Are we through the eye of the storm? Has the eye of the storm passed over us?
That's very difficult to say, and my forecast would be have the same probability of being right as most other people's, which is probably 50-50.
Sure.
I think that we have passed the eye of the storm with respect to the crisis in the financial services industry. Sure. The actions that have been taken by central banks and governments around the world, most recently the Canadian government this morning, is I think, has been very important in terms of stabilizing the financial system. Essentially, they've provided confidence to the world that major financial companies are going to be protected, recapitalized, restructured, whatever the case may be, and that creditors and depositors are not at risk. And that has brought a much better degree of normalcy back into the credit markets and the interbank markets, et cetera. So that the financial crisis, because this has first and foremost been a financial crisis and a liquidity crisis in the financial services industry, I think we are through the eye of the storm. The challenge we face now is the stock markets are now looking at the real economy and what the impact of a slowdown and potential recession, which a number of people are now, the U.S. is clearly in recession, and people are questioning whether many other countries, including Canada, are going to slip into recession, what the impact of that slower economic growth is going to be on not just the financial industry, but all industries. And that's what's happened over the last little while. And there is no question we're going to be operating in a difficult economic environment here for an extended period of time. You know, the good news for stock markets is they usually lead, you know, an economic turnaround. And so, you know, I wouldn't pretend to pick when the bottom of the stock market will be or whether we've already seen it. But, you know, we're probably in for some difficult, you know, months ahead in terms of economic performance.
That's great. Well, thank you very much for being here. It's
wonderful to be here. Thank you for having me.
I'm Jeff Sanford, reporting from the Canadian Business Leadership Forum 2008.